I'm just going to start. I hope you guys are okay. So, we are going to look at gold quickly before we look at other pairs and set our limits. So, we're going to go over gold quickly because I think there might be a really good potential trade there. All right, this is our gold. We're going to go on the weekly time frame, right? And considering the weekly time frame, we discussed about how we have a very strong resistance, a very strong support around this area, and price needs to reject this area for it to push higher. Otherwise, if it breaks this area, then it's now a downtrend. And then we had support right here at the top. There's a consolidation that's happening at the bottom right, specifically this one on the daily time frame. You can see properly on the daily time frame. All right, so this is our support, this is our resistance that we need price to break for it to continue going higher. And then for price to actually go lower all the way back to the support, we need price to break this area right here, because when price came all the way here, it created some sort of a resistance before it pushed higher. So when it broke that resistance, it then became support, and price has been consolidating between these 2 points. So we need price to break this low for it to go all the way down to the next low. So we're watching this consolidation for now until price breaks any of those 2 points. And then for our time frame, everything looks good. Looks like we have strong bearish pressure. That means on the 1 hour time frame, we can actually trade this weak fill. So if someone is looking to enter a trade right now, I know it's Monday and Mondays are a bit shaky. We would rather wait for a few more hours, but there is strong bearish pressure right now, and we might see price make this weak fill because before, right, if you look at this area right here, so before price made this low, right, and then price went all the way up, and then when it came back down, it made a support here, right, and then it fell to cover up this weak fill right here. So now we're saying, since price did cover this weak fill on this area right here, we can expect price to push all the way down and cover this weak fill, especially with the fact that we've been seeing strong bearish pressure since the markets opened. So I don't like the volume that's in the markets right now. It's very low, because if the volume is very low, right, we might end up getting price pulling back a little bit before it pushes lower. So I would very much like us to enter this trade right now. However, the volume is way too low for us to enter at the moment. But what we can do is we can go on the 30-minute time frame, right? If you look at the 30-minute time frame, price has been pushing lower, right? But as much as it's pushing lower, it's been making these small ranges, right? So we can say we have some sort of a range that's going on right here, right? So if we have a range that's going on right here, especially with the fact that it's responding to this support. Now remember, there is a support from where the candles support or resistance from where the candlestick closed, right? like this, and then if the wick is long, then we would have another support or resistance on the wick. So this is a range that we will be looking to trade as clean traffic. That's the whole point of wick fills. So considering those two supports, we would look at this range and this range, right? So if this candlestick closes below, we can enter our trade for aiming this low. However, the thing is, if you do enter a trade now experiencing this low volume, right, don't expect your trade to take a very short time to complete. Expect it to take a very long time, because high chances it will drop, consolidate, drop, consolidate until it actually reaches your take profit. And the reason why we're saying that is because that's what it has been doing all the way down here. So we can expect it to keep on doing the same thing. However, if let's say Monday kicks in and then there's volume towards New York, towards London opening, or let's say London opening, we can look for price to come back to this resistance before it pushes down. So we can expect price to come back up here, and then we can enter on a good price, expecting price to push down and cover the weak fill. So that means our that means our first take profit will be right here, right? And then our last take profit will be right here. So that's one trade we are watching out for. So we can set our limits at but if you look at the way it's pushing right now, it might keep on pushing. However, even if it keeps on pushing, right, let's still set our limits at 1744. However, even if we're looking at this area, right, 1744. Yeah, exactly. So for gold, right, set your first limits at 1744. So when we say we're setting our limits at 1744, right, we're setting sell limits at 1744. I'm gonna set my limits. All right, so let me explain deeper why we're setting our limits there. So we are setting our limits here because the last time, right, last week, price had a resistance right here, right, and then we had a support right here, and then price broke out and pushed lower, right? It created it reached support right here, right, and then it put back up to our previous support, which is now resistance, right, and price rejected, right? So we said high chances price will drop and get all the way down here, right? If it doesn't, then that means price might come back all the way back to our resistance before it goes down, and that would create a continuation pattern very similar to this. That's what we're expecting to get. So it will be very nice for us to see price pull back up, right, consolidate, or give us some strong bearish pressure somewhere around this area. Even if it doesn't actually consolidate or range in this area, we can get a wick and then consolidation before it drops down. But if it does drop down from here, right, we can set our buy limits right here, expecting price to reject. However, instead of setting our buy limits right at this week, right, I would I would very much like to set our buy limits at, let's go back on the 1 hour time frame. I would very much like to set our buy limits somewhere around this point, because remember we said for price to actually go lower, right, it has to break this low. So high chances price will reject this area before it goes any lower, if it is going to go any lower. And we all know gold, when it rejects well nicely, so we can expect to get a trade around this area. So around this area, I would say, if we're looking at order blocks, this last candle was our order block, right? So we have price. Oh, give me a second. All right, before I forget. All right, so we're saying we're looking at this area. We're expecting this area to get rejected because we had price create support right here, right? And then it rejected support the first time, and then the second time, and then it created a resistance right here. After the resistance, price fell to create a new support right here. So instead of us expecting price to reach this support instead, right, we're going to aim for the new support right here. So we're going to set our buy limits right here. So this area is also going to give us this trading option in mind, right? If price does push lower and it does not reach our sell limit, right, we can watch out price to make a new resistance for price to push lower. So we are still keeping this setup in mind. At the same time, we are saying price could come all the way up instead before it goes any lower. So we have the sell limits, but we're also still watching price to create a new resistance if it does not manage to come all the way to the normal resistance. And then we're saying, instead of price reacting to this support again, since it has already reacted to this support twice, we might see price push lower. So if price is going to push lower, what's the next price that we can expect it to reject? That is this price that we can expect it to reject. So we're expecting price to reject this area for it to continue higher. So you can set your buy limits at we can set our buy limits at 17.25. Let's just say setting our buy limits at 17.25, 90, maybe 90, 17.25 or 17.25.8. Yeah, okay, set your buy limits at 17.25.80. I don't know if you all did, but I hope you all did. So also set your buy limits at, all right, so I did say price rejected this area twice, right? However, we could get a rejection again. We will not say that it's now definite that price will reject this price, will break this area, but we could get a rejection the same way we did in the past. So we are going to set buy limits there, but use a smaller lot size, so less risk, because we are not as sure that it might reject this area, but we're saying chances it will reject this area since it has been rejecting this area in the past. So we don't normally go on the 5-minute time frame, but we're just going to see what's our 5-minute time frame showing us. So on the 5-minute time frame, we have price making this low. There's this low on the 5-minute time frame, right? Before price reached the next low. So we're going to check where that is, where price is. Okay, so this is the low that we're watching. So we are saying, since price keeps making pushing lower, right, there is some good selling pressure, so we can expect price to come and touch this low before it rejects it, and then maybe push a little bit higher to make some sort of a new resistance before it pushes lower. So when I say new resistance, right, don't take this resistance for granted. This resistance right here, there is a resistance right here, so don't take it for granted. So we might see price actually reacting to this resistance before it pushes lower again. So we might get something like this, and then price comes back up, and then it pushes down. But if we don't, then we will still look out for what we're expecting. But if it does keep going this low, I am expecting price to reach this support. So this is the first support that we can say maybe price will react to this support, then come back up for the resistance, and maybe our entries for it to push lower. So we're going to set minor buy limits at this area right here, because price is rejected it in the past. Why wouldn't it reject it now, right? So let's set our buy limits right there. Say, actually, instead of setting it right at the low, right, I think it would be best for us to set it just a few pips below. Because if it's making this low, right, then high chances a lot of people have this low in store. High chances a lot of people are setting their buy limits right here. So instead of us setting our buy limits at that low exactly, let's set our buy limits a few pips below. So we're going to set our buy limits at least around, let me see. Let's see this area first. Okay, let's use the 1 hour time frame. All right. For us, that's a little bit too low. Let's set our buy limits at this price right here. That's at 1730. All right. So everyone, set your buy limits at 1730. Yeah, I feel like that's a good area also to watch out for, because remember, price makes highs and lows, right? So if there are places that we could set our buy limits, so that we can catch the retracement. We don't have to catch the full retracement or the full move up. We just have to catch the few pips that we need. Remember, we always aim for 10 pips. So I'm sure that when price rejects, right, it can give us those 10 pips. Or let's say if we want to aim for a little bit more that time, we can get a little bit more. But for now, we know that price will reject and it will give us our 10 pips, so that we can secure those 10 pips, and whatever happens afterwards, it's fine, but because we already have our profits secured. So we're going to set a buy limit at 1730. I hope you all have. So what you can do when you set your buy limit, right? If you're going to set your buy limit at 1730, right? I want you to put your take profit at, let's say, 1733.80, because like I mentioned before, this trade, it's more of an in and out trade. You won't even realize that you're still in this trade. Price might even hit the limit and hit your take profit within no time if we have that much pressure. That's what we're looking for. All right, price is still pushing down. We could have entered this trade, but it's Monday. We have to be very careful. So I think that's enough limits for gold. We will keep on setting limits as the week goes on, but for gold, I think those are the areas that we need to watch out. Since price is pushing lower, we should see it. All right, TP put 1733. That depends actually which limit are you using the TP, because what I want you to do is, right, if any of these limits get hit, right, I'm going to give you the stop loss and the take profit. Remember I said this week we need to concentrate more on the stop loss, so I'm going to teach you all how to use market structure, or the market structure that we were given at that time, to set your stop loss and your take profit. So since these are limits, right, we don't really have market structure for those limits yet. We were expecting price to reach those areas, right? When it gives us the market structure, then we'll set the take profit and the stop loss. Because if we are to set a stop loss right now, right, there are chances that price might hit the limit, hit your stop loss before it pushes in the direction that you want. And if you are putting a stop loss without the market structure, that means you are doing the thing of putting maybe 30 pips stop loss or 20 pips stop loss. But then what if market needs a wider range than that for it to fulfill the trade? So we're keeping in mind things like that. That's why I'm saying we're going to wait on the stop loss. We'll wait for the market structure to give us something, then we'll use that to our advantage. So when the market hits those limits, I will be updating you guys. So this was gold. I'm going to move on to GBP USD. Oof. That is a lot of lines. Okay, we're now on GBP USD. All right. I know Alan just entered, so since Alan just entered, we have the limits that we just placed on gold in the chart. I wrote them in the chart, and basically, I'm just going to do a quick rundown. Basically, we're saying price needs to break this high for it to go any high. Price needs to break this low for it to go any low. We are watching on the higher time frames. We are watching, let's say for daily. On the higher time frames, we are watching this consolidation, right? On the 4-hour time frame, we are now watching this range from here to this area right here. Let me show you on the 4-hour time frame, on the daily actually. But at the moment, we are watching this range price has been doing before it does anything. So we're saying for it to go lower, it needs to break this support. For it to go any higher, it needs to break this resistance. So we then went on the 1-hour time frame, and then we said price made a resistance right here, right? Because it made a low, it rejected the same way it rejected here, and then it made a new high right here. So we have this high and this low. So if we have this high and this low, and we were watching price move down here, we didn't enter because there isn't that much volume and anything can happen. It's still Monday. And besides that, we are watching this support. There is a support right here that was created. No, Ocean, not now. That was created on the 15-minute time frame or 5-minute time frame. You should go that deep. There is a support right there. There is a support right there. So that's what we're also watching. So we're anticipating price to come low, come back to our resistance, and then push lower. So we'll have this reversal or continuation pattern, the M formation. So we're hoping for that. That's why we put our sell limits around this area. So we have our first sell limits at 1744, just in case if price pushes higher and then comes lower. However, we are keeping in mind that price might not reach the sell limit and maybe make a new high somewhere around here before it pushes lower. So we'll be watching for that structure also. So after that, those sell limits, right, we have buy limits around this area. We have buy limits around this area because we are saying if price rejected this area, high chances it will reject this area. But if a lot of people are expecting price to reject this area, then we can have price dip a little bit lower and then reject that area instead. That's why we are not setting our sell limits at a price where everyone else can expect that, but we set them a little bit lower. So that's our first sell limits, right? I mean our buy limits. The next buy limit we're saying this one is just a short sell. If price does reach this area, right, we're just buying it, a short buy, expecting to take our profits right here for the retest because there is a support right here. So if price is going to reach this area, high chances it will come back to this support, or it will be now resistance for it to push lower. So that's the short buy that we're expecting. So besides that short buy, right, we're saying if price does push even lower, right, we have this support that we're watching that we're saying price cannot break if it wants to go any higher. If it breaks this support, then the trend is going to continue as bearish. So instead of us expecting for it to hit here, right, we set our buy limits at this area right here because we had support, right? Then price made a new high right here, creating resistance, and then it dropped again, creating support right here. So we're expecting price to reject this support, but if it does dip down a little bit lower, right, we can get price dipping into this area. But we will be watching the areas when price is reaching that price, so that when it hits our limits, right, where we use the market structure that it is presented us with to set our sell limits. So we are watching this area also, but we're just going to take the first order block, which is this area, because this is an order block. This area is an order block, so we're going to take the top, the high of it as our buy limits. That's what we did, because if price is ranging in this area, we could manage to get a nice buy aiming for this high, because that's what price is now doing. It's now ranging in this area before it shows us where it's going next. So that's why we placed those limits on gold. So now we're going to go on GBP USD. All right, on GBP USD, we have a very nice setup too. That's what I believe. We have our low, right? We have, wait, does anyone have questions on gold? I guess not. Okay.
No, not really.
We have a low, we have a high. This is the 4-hour time frame, mind you, so price might take time to get to this high. So we're going to look for something that's more doable, which is right here. We have a high right here, and we have a high right here. All right. So within these highs, guys, this is actually a very nice trade. I would not mind someone buying from this low, because if you look at this, right, it made a low right here. We have another low being touched right here, and then price came back. It made a weak fill. So what are the chances that price might reject this low also? So mind this, right? If it does not reject this low like this right now, right, you can expect price to make the first dip outside and then reject the low. The same way we're expecting on we're expecting on gold to make a lower dip and then reject the low. So this lower dip is usually 10 pips. Normally 10 pips. So you can measure your 10 pips right here, and then you put your new support. So you can watch out for price to make that dip and then push higher. So I'm going to check the past just a little bit to see if there is a dip that price can actually give. All right, put a resistance right here. There you go. All right, buy limits at, we're going to set buy limits at 136. 136.60. Let's see, 136,600. Let's say 136,550. All right, set your buy limits at 1.36,550. On GBP USD. 36,550. So we're saying, since price looks like it's now ranging, since price looks like it might be making a range right here on the 4-hour time frame, because we have price making a low, right, and then with price coming back for the high, right, and then price came back for the low and it rejected the first time. This is our rejection, right, and then now price made the weak fill and it looks like it's still rejecting this low. So we're saying we could see price come back all the way to the high also. And remember when we talked about a trend, right, when it's still healthy and when it's now losing its pressure, you can see that right here. We had a healthy trend right here, as you can see, and then after that, this price action is no longer similar to this price action right here. So we might be getting a weak ending. That means this trend might be ending right now. So we're saying, instead of us aiming for this low, it might reject this low, but let's aim for a lower low. So price could dip so as to take everyone's stop losses before it pushes higher. Now remember, I got to this point from all the way back in the time frame in the chart. That means it's probably a low that price has to break for it to push lower. As you can see right here, this is a low that price needs to break for it to push lower. Actually, yeah, actually this is a low that price needs to break for it to push lower right here. So instead of 550, right, actually set your set your limits at, can you correct that to 136,440? Yeah, correct it to that price, to 136,440, because that's actually an area that price needs to break for it to go lower. So we can expect price to do that. That's good. All right, so we're going to go back on the 1 hour time frame. 1 hour time frame. 1 hour time frame. This is what we have. On the 1 hour time frame, right? We said we had a high right here, right? This is the high that we're watching out on the 4 hour time frame. Remember, all of these highs, I put them on the 4 hour time frame. We haven't looked at the chart on the 1 hour time frame. Now, on the 1 hour time frame, right? If you're watching the markets and price closes above this range, right? That's, I'm gonna go on the 30-minute time frame now. If price closes above this range, right, you may take a trade to the next range. You may take a trade to, yes, I will send the corrections. I will send you the corrections. You may take a trade to this area right here. A very nice trade. Clean traffic. Price made a low, dipped down to make a new low, and if price closes above this high, then that means price is pushing higher, so you can take your take profits in around this area. I'll be watching and I'll let you if that happens. But this will be a very nice trade, and as you can see, price is moving high nicely. That's why I was saying this